Hey, everyone. Welcome. Happy New
Hello.
Year, everyone. Well, it's just as I have Bria, who's our producer with us this evening for our Thursday short show. Just as you
Hello.
thought that 2021 was going to calm down after 2020 and just kind of be a lot easier, right? Here we go with what happened yesterday at the Capitol building of the United States of America. Where do we start with this one? Where do we start with this one?
I am still in shock. I still don't understand what is going on. I honestly I'm still in shock. I'm in disbelief because, like, what would happen if that was not a group of white MAGA protesters?
Exactly. Yeah, we'll get to that. First of all, just with the initial shock of what happened, just the fact that if you stop and step back from it for a couple of minutes and just think to yourself, this is the United States of America. This is the kind of thing that we're used to seeing happening in countries that have instability, that have some sort of um, dysfunction going on in their governments, that's corrupt. Take a Latin American country, or when the Soviet Union fell, whatever. It's like this kind of thing. A mob of people descend upon a federal building. Um, the Capitol building should be one of the most secure buildings in this country, and yet here we go. Thousands of people descend upon it. Hundreds of people get inside. Somehow this happened. And
Yeah.
then they get in, they're parading around with Confederate flags, and they go into the Senate floor. They go into the House Speaker's office. A guy takes
hmm
a picture with his feet on her desk. This is a matter of national security. How did this happen? How did it happen?
Lack of preparation, too much leniency. There's a million reasons why this happened. A million reasons. This is just something I never thought I'd see, and I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I'm only 25, but I've never seen anything like this. I don't think my grandparents have ever seen anything like this. So, I mean, when you really you just got to ask yourself so many questions. How did it get this far? How did they get inside the Senate chambers? How did this happen?
Yep.
There's just so many questions, not enough answers. I know you sent that article that we saw today where the chief of police resigned
Yes.
following the riots.
And
So
I think that's probably, I think it's probably a wise decision.
yeah,
Somebody dropped not only a huge 18-pound bowling ball, but dropped several balls on this one, because
yeah,
I'm just trying to scratch my head and try to figure out exactly, how this is possible. Knowing what we know about the Capitol, knowing what the experience was of people who have been around the Capitol, and how um, stringent the security measures are. Um,
yeah, exactly.
yet this happened. I mean, if people have been sort of comparing this to well, this was sort of something like a 9/11 thing or Pearl Harbor. I don't think
Mm,
that's kind of hyperbole. I don't
yeah,
think it's going to be something like that. However, it is going to be something that we will remember. Like, oh, you remember that crazy day when those people with MAGA hats, got into the Capitol building, and people were on lockdown. You had senators like hiding under desks and things. I
yeah.
mean,
Looking at the videos of there were senators who were taking videos as the rioters were entering the building. I mean, they were scared. They were terrified. Um, and a lot of them probably never thought they would be in that position. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they sensed something coming, but I'm sure they never thought this would happen. I never thought this would happen. But I will say is this is definitely going to be in the future history books. Like the pictures of them storming the Capitol, I feel like you're definitely going to be in the history books. Pictures
yeah,
of it.
it will be.
Um,
Will
I
this
think
be sort of the legacy of Trump? Is this um
definitely,
like the last sort of all the crazy things that have happened under Trump, and all the crazy things he said? Um, is this going to be the last? Well, first of all, is this like the worst, craziest thing that's happened in the 5 years of Trump. And I say 5 years because I'm including that year of campaigning, which
Yeah,
was crazy.
which is also crazy.
So is this like
Yeah,
is this like his legacy? Will this be his legacy then?
I definitely think so. I think what we're witnessing right now is the unraveling of Donald Trump. I think we're seeing him unravel, him trying to figure out like how can I feel like he's tried everything and he's going to continue to try everything to stop this. Well, now he's officially, backed off and said that he officially lost. But I feel like this was him trying to hold on to the presidency. I don't even think he wants to be president. I just think he doesn't want to lose. And I think I really feel like we've just watched him unravel up until this point.
Well,
Um,
he did have a conciliatory video today in which he was obviously reading from a script because he was making a lot of sense, saying that condemning violence and how we need to come together, and that finally acknowledging that Biden is going to be inaugurated in 13 days, and that he's now focused on the peaceful and what do you say? Peaceful transition of power. It was peaceful and something else. I forget, but a smooth transition to power. That's what he's going to be focused on now. So it won't be golf. It won't
all of a
be.
sudden,
It won't be trying to call up secretaries of states of various states and trying to intimidate them. He's going to actually act like a
like
reasonable
he's
person.
thinking, okay.
Do we believe that?
No, I think he's reading the script right now. When he gets his Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram privileges back, there will be something
He's
else.
like he's like a
He,
little kid. He's like, "Oh,
yeah,
we're gonna take away your Twitter, little boy. You've been
yeah,
bad. Go to your room."
right. That's exactly what's going on right now. I know he was just crying himself to sleep yesterday because he couldn't post online, but I think that right now he's running scared. I think that he's realized yesterday was a bit too far and he needs to scale it back. Um,
Hmm.
this is just that's all that it can be because yesterday, even after the riots, he said, um, you know, we love you, go home, everyone's
Yep.
upset, the election was stolen from us, still spewing these
But
lies.
go home. We need peace, right?
Right, exactly. So still be angry, just go home and be angry. But today the whole thing changed. His tune changed completely to we lost and now let's just work on, not only that, not only did he now acknowledge that he lost, but he condemned the rioters. He
Yep.
said he didn't agree with it. He wasn't standing with them, even though he was standing with them yesterday. He
And
completely turned his back on them today.
he told people that we're going to go down to the Capitol and root on our brave senators and Congress
Yeah,
people, and cheer for them, right? And so, do you blame him? Did he instigate this?
absolutely instigated
Okay.
this because even in the same breath of saying we're going to root on our brave senators, he also said, but we're not going to be doing the same for those on the other side.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There's always him throwing the gas on the fire. Like there's never a time where, he's preaching unity. He's never speaking unity. He's always saying, you know, we're gonna stand with these people, but not with these people. There's always a comment after that follows it. So
Yeah.
yes, I definitely think yesterday he instigated it because he knows what his supporters are capable of. He
Hmm.
knows it. So, yeah,
If he
for
knew
sure.
that,
Yes,
then
he did that.
he pointed them down the street in the direction of the Capitol, and he said,
Yeah,
"Go and do it." So
he
he is to blame.
unleashed yes, he unleashed them on the Capitol. Like I said, do I think that he meant for them to actually storm the Capitol? I don't think he ever imagined that this would happen. He might have hoped it would happen. I don't think he actually intended for them to get inside of the building and tear up
Well,
the whole thing. No.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. Insiders say that he was pleased when he saw that on the news. So,
oh, I'm sure he was pleased. Trump is very prideful. So Of course,
Okay.
he's like, my supporters, they got in there, they're riding for me, they're ride or die, literally
Right. Right.
die for me. And um, but I don't think he intended for them to do that. But I do, of course, I think he was satisfied that it turned out that way.
So here's a question, and we do welcome any of your comments or answers to these questions. Here's another question there for you, Bree. So, had this been a planned Black Lives Matter event in Washington, D.C., how would the preparation have been different and the security been different in Washington, D.C.?
I mean, we saw what it was like for Black Lives Matter protesters in DC. We saw earlier this year what it was like for them. They were peacefully protesting on the streets and they still were tear gassed, rubber bullets. They still got beaten with batons. They still were pushed out of the way and thrown. We saw them thrown into unmarked vans. We saw the National Guard unleashed on them without a second thought. So, and that was for them peacefully protesting. They weren't rioting, they weren't storming buildings, they weren't damaging property. They were just marching in the street.
Yep,
And I
yep,
don't know if you remember, and I'm sure you remember this. Uh, they were tear gassed and moved out of the way and pushed out of the street so that Trump could get to the church to take that picture.
yep, yep.
That was for a photo op. So, I mean, this is not, it's not the same. And another thing we got to address is the fact that Black Lives Matter, the protests are for injustice. The protests are to stop police brutality, to take a stand against injustice. The MAGA supporters marching and taking over the Capitol,
They're
these
just
are
mad
angry
because
people
their
who are
guy didn't
mad.
win.
Exactly. You're mad because your candidate lost. And that's what it is. Democracy is democracy. You can't, just because it doesn't work for you in one election doesn't mean that you can just wreak havoc on everything. Like that's
Yes,
not how democracy works.
exactly.
Um, but Joe Biden made a good point when he said this proves how fragile our democracy is.
Hmm.
It's a fragile thing.
It, you know, here's a well, certainly this year has sort of proved how fragile our institutions are. Just the things that we depended on, the things that we counted on. Um, if this could happen, if this so easily could happen, it does give us a sense of, well, maybe we aren't as great as we thought we were. Maybe we
Yeah.
aren't as secure as we thought we were. Um, so yeah, yeah.
I think people
Um,
have this idea of America as, we're the greatest nation on earth, and we're hearing a lot of politicians say that this is not America. These actions don't reflect our values. When we look historically at America, it kind of it kind of is much of the same. Throughout history, you
yeah.
see a lot of rioting, you see a lot of
Hmm,
incidents just like this one. Maybe not storming into the Capitol, but a lot of incidents just like this one have happened throughout history, and just people being upset because they didn't get their way. That is an American way, to be completely honest.
yeah.
I'm an American. I love my country, but I would be a fool to not acknowledge that this is not out of the normal. This is not something that is just doesn't happen. America, there are a lot of things that we
Hmm.
need to work on.
Well, I would say that one of the things that is good about America is that you can express your feelings, that you can gather, that you can protest. And if this had just been a protest, then hey, more power to them. If they want to stand out in the Oval, um, as long as they want to and
Yeah,
shout with their megaphones, as long as they want to, then that's fine. That's one thing. Um, if they want to start to endanger people's lives and causing havoc and acting violent, then that's another thing. So,
yeah,
is this indicative of privilege, of the privilege that people of the crowd, of these people, of these rioters? Let's call them what they are. They were rioters. Um, is it indicative of their attitude that they thought that they were privileged enough that they can just get away with this?
um, well, yeah. So there's definitely privilege there. Of course, we have to acknowledge that there were there weren't just white people in the crowd, but that we did see a few black people, a few
Yeah,
Hispanic
there
people.
was a few
You
people, there was a few
know,
minorities, but yeah.
majority it was a white group of uh rioters.
Hmm.
Yes, I do think um there's privilege there. And the reason why I say that is so I'm gonna give you like a situation here. Like I feel like when as parents, right, we discipline our children differently than we discipline other people's children. You know,
Yeah,
like we're more lenient with and even when we think about it, like if my kid were to rob a bank, this is just completely hypothetical. Sorry, Logan. Sorry, Fallon. But if one of my kids were to rob a bank,
right.
I would not expect them to be shot. I wouldn't want them to be shot. I would want them to be, I would love them still. I would be like, that was a bad thing that you did. Yes, you have to pay for what you did. Yes, there are consequences, but I would be lenient on them. Now, if I see somebody just robbing a bank, I'm gonna call the police, get them out of there. It's just a totally different thing. And I feel like when we look at white men in this country, these are America's children. America is going to be the laws, the way we look at white men in this country as far as like
Hmm.
as law enforcement goes, is just completely different. It's America is more lenient on its children than it is for black people, for people of color, Asians, Hispanics. It's just completely different. Muslims, it's different for people of color in America because this
Yep.
country was founded originally with the understanding that white people were above everyone else. So
I
that's the
think
way
that
I look at it.
I think that what we saw yesterday was this is what we're talking about, is this on display, that certain people think that they can get away with things. And so, yeah, they'll climb the wall to get into the Capitol. They'll push their way in past police and not expect to be shot and killed. They'll break down the windows. They'll go into the Senate chambers. They'll do whatever they want.
Because this
And
is their house, basically.
that's what they were shouting. This is their house. And then expect that there wouldn't be consequences, or maybe they would be arrested, maybe they would be detained, but they're not going to be hurt or shot or maimed or injured or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that to be honest, if this had been mostly people of color, if this had been a Black Lives Matter protest, and this would have been as other people have commentated, this had been a group of Muslims,
Yeah.
um,
They were
or
pissed with the
Middle
world.
Eastern people or certain people, then they wouldn't have hold back. We saw pictures of people with the police officers. Some of the police officers might have been like-minded people. Saw some videos like taking
Yeah.
selfies with the rioters, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? And it's just sad. I mean, we talked a little bit before the show about the way other countries see us, and they just must be, Trump was one thing, and then they see this, and they just must be like, "Wow, America is definitely um, gone the wrong direction."
Yeah.
To see something like this happen in our country, this is like I said, this is what we're used to seeing going on in other countries.
Yeah, exactly. I never would have thought if you told me last year that this would, or maybe the 2019 that this would happen, I would not believe it. This is just it's insane when I really just take a minute to think about it. Like it's unimaginable for me. Like I did not imagine. Like I was telling you earlier, my mind stopped at like them climbing over the wall. Like my mind couldn't imagine it going further than that. Like
Hmm.
when I saw the pictures of the rioters on the Senate floor in the chambers, like I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was unimaginable for me. Like I
Yeah.
still sometimes I have to look at the pictures of the last like since last night I've been looking at the pictures like this can't it's real. This has to be photoshopped.
So,
It's
you know,
real.
we're talking about history and the way history is going to show this. So historically, the Confederates never got this far, never got into Washington. The last time that any federal building like this had been invaded by anybody, really, and these are domestic terrorists. Uh, it was the British in the War of 1812.
You know.
So we're talking. over 200 years ago that this hasn't happened. And you saw that picture of the Confederate flag going through the hallway of the Capitol. I'm just shake my head and say that's just sad. That's so sad
It
that
is.
that a traitor's flag is being paraded about in you know the greatest building, the greatest symbol of our democracy.
Yeah.
You could say that it's the White House, but it's really the Capitol building. I mean, the Capitol building, um,
That's where all the laws go down. That's where all of the everything is
yeah,
decided on there. That's where democracy is. That's the symbol of democracy in our country.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So, I mean, there was talk about that they're going to draw up articles of impeachment. They're talking about the 25th Amendment, that Trump should be removed from office, even though he only has 13 more days. I'm
I was
not,
gonna ask,
you know,
do you think they're gonna actually go through with that?
No, I don't. I don't think that they're going to get that far. I don't think they have time enough to do that. I'm not sure that that's going to fly. And now that we've seen Trump sort of back down, I think that maybe that was for real. Maybe that would have happened if he had continued to incite people and continued to be stubborn and obstinate and kind of rally his troops into doing whatever. Maybe we would have seen that, but it's hard for me to imagine that. We saw a
Yeah.
lot of Republicans sort of jump ship. We saw even within a few hours when the Senate came back into session, we saw the senators back down from their election challenges that they were prepared
Hmm.
to go to war with, and now they said, well, uh, get in light of what just happened, we're just going to certify this, and we backed
Hmm.
down. Lindsey Graham gave this big speech.
The whole
It seemed like all
speech.
I turned on the news and there was like an hour of speeches, and I'm thinking to myself,
Yeah.
is everyone going to give a speech, and is half the senators going to give a speech? Why don't you just vote and get this over with? Why does everyone have to give a speech?
That is exactly what I was thinking as I was like, another one? Can we just get this over
I
with?
mean,
Haven't
just
you guys
get it
had a long
over
enough
with.
day?
It's like
This-
I could
yeah.
live if I don't hear Mitt Romney speak. Now I know I respect Mitt Romney,
Yeah.
but it's like, really, do I really need to hear every leader of the Senate
Yeah.
speak that has anything to do with this? Just vote, just end, go to bed, and get up in the morning and thank God that you're secure and alive, you know?
I was most annoyed by Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. Those were the two that annoyed me the most.
You know, it
Um,
was it was interesting as I was watching Mitch McConnell. He looked different than I've ever seen him.
yeah.
His something about his body language and his tone of voice was different to me. But Lindsey Graham really annoyed me because he is the one that's enabled Trump for so long. Here are these people
Yeah.
enabling Trump for years and patting
Yeah.
him on the back. We saw after the primary in 2016, Lindsey Graham forgave him after all the crap and the mudslinging. And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, he's his best friend.
Hmm.
And then he turns his back on him
He's
to
spineless.
give
He
that
has no backbone
to
whatsoever.
give
That
to
man
give
goes where
that
the wind blows.
speech in front of the Senate, and I'm thinking, that was a good speech, but consider who it's coming from. You're full of it. You're
I thought it
full
was
of
a
it.
horrible speech. I thought the speech, exactly. I thought it was a speech full of lies, full of just that, like I was saying, that man goes where the wind blows. Okay. That man is he is, what do they say that he's for the streets? That man, he has no loyalty, is what it is. You trash Trump, then you're Trump's best friend. Then when Trump is going down on the sinking ship, you jump off on the nearest lifeboat. Doesn't make sense. So,
It was bad because you consider who it's coming from. It's like, wait
yeah,
a minute, who is this guy? This
he
is
can't
Lindsey
be
Graham.
trusted. He can't be trusted. There's no loyalty with that man.
Oh
Honestly,
my
I'm not saying you
goodness.
should be loyal to Trump, but I feel like if you have been riding with Trump to until yesterday, you need to just stay on the boat and just go down with the sinking ship. But I understand that he is a politician, so I get it.
Oh yes.
He's
Oh
trying to
yes.
save his career in
He is that.
politics. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at how he's been enabling Trump over the last few years, his entire presidency, and then today you flip.
Um,
Like it took a riot, it took
it
the
took a riot for him to
Capitol
do so. Yeah.
for you to get that's crazy to me.
It.
Everybody that flipped yesterday, like
I mean,
you can't be trusted. You just there's no loyalty.
we want to acknowledge that there were people that lost their lives, and so we don't want to make light
Hmm.
of this. And that the one woman who was shot, and apparently there were three more people that died of natural causes or some sort of
Yeah,
heart attack um, at the scene. So we want to pray for them, for those families. Um, that's tragic. That didn't need to happen. Um, so
definitely
here's
unfortunate that people had to lose their lives. It really was not worth it. It wasn't for a cause. Really
Yep.
wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't have to happen, and it was instigated. Um,
Yep.
Here's a question. Are we going to see more of this before the inauguration or at the inauguration?
Um, I think that there are definitely going to be more protests. And I think this is without even Trump being an instigator. I think that there will be more protests. And that is because even though there were arrests made after this riot, right? These are not arrests that were made on camera. This wasn't what was shown widely on the media during it. There was nothing that happened that showed us consequence during the
Yeah.
riot.
Here,
So
here's a que here's a question. I'm sorry, just to interject,
yeah,
and then
no,
I'll let
yeah,
you continue. So
yeah,
here's a question that I have. It's like when this was happened, we didn't see people being arrested and
right,
put into a police car. Then all of a sudden today, there's like 70. There was one report of 54 arrests. Now there's 72 arrests. Um,
yeah.
we didn't see that. What I saw was people calmly being escorted out of the Capitol building. Now we did see the flashbangs, we did see the smoke of the tear gas hours after the barricades had been breached. So
When you look at all of I mean, the National Guard was rejected and then they called them in later. I mean, you just have to like this is the reason why I think there will be more protests is because if I didn't ask you or if today I didn't wake up and decide to go on a web surfing search to see the
yeah,
aftermath of this, I would think that they got away with it and people were escorted out and nothing happened. So and I feel like you don't
yeah,
have
same here. That's
these
exactly
people,
the way I feel.
yeah, they're not researching to see what happened. They know what happened yesterday. They saw that
Yep,
it was okay. The National Guard wasn't there. They saw that they were ill prepared for this. And I feel like that is the reason why there will be more
yep.
because they don't expect anything to happen. So,
Wow.
I don't know what happens as far as like true MAGA supporters. Do I think all of the people that were in that
No.
um right, I don't know because if you really think about it, the MAGA supporters that were at Trump's rallies or Trump's campaign like during Trump's campaigning period, I don't think those people were the ones that attacked the Capitol. I really don't. When you look at the people that were there, I mean, no, I don't think so. I think that less than half of those people were
Exactly.
actually there.
I think to be completely fair, the vast majority of people that were there weren't the ones who decided to try and attack
Yeah.
um, the Capitol and attack police. So um, yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about all of this and more on Saturday morning. Join us at 9 a.m. Eastern Time,
Yeah.
8 a.m. on Saturday morning Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about all of this and more. Lamar's going to be with us. Bria's going to be with us. We want to talk about what happened in Georgia with the elections this past
Mhm.
week. That was historic as well. It kind
Yeah.
of got overshadowed right the day before. Um,
Yeah.
the day before this, there was kind of a historic election. We don't usually have a runoff election for for Senate. We don't usually, it's not usually a national issue. It's usually it was one state, yet the eyes of the nation, I feel, were upon Georgia. I was certainly
Yeah.
watching that, and there were very close elections, by the way. Um, they were both called for the Democrats. So now there's going to be a Democratic majority at least for 2 years in both houses with a Democratic president. There should be pressure on Biden to get some things done. So we'll see. We
Yep.
want to talk about that. We're going to talk about some more things. We'll take your questions. If you guys have any comments at all um, after this goes live, feel free to
Hmm.
comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
All right. Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I can look forward to seeing you on Saturday. We're gonna touch on some of these topics. I'm excited.
All right.
It's a good way to
Take
bring
care,
in
everyone.
2021.
Be
All
safe
right.
and take good care of yourselves. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.